Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics as I drive to work, swearing at people, confused as why they drive so badly. Right, I've currently got about 40 minutes to get to work, so that's going to be fun. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I do talk about random topics at a time. I don't stick to one, and they do tend to go off onto horrible tangents about shit I've been through. So if you don't want to hear me bitching and venting about that, I would change the channel. I also swear profusely because I enjoy it. Fuck it. Considering I had a childhood where my mum used to, rinse your mouth out with liquid soap and make you near enough swallow it if you swore. One of those lovely boomer parents. Because pain is the way we learn. Which in effect kind of is. It kind of is. But it's not needed, really, is it? I'm suddenly figuring that out now. If you don't want to hear me swear, I'm going to anyway, so don't listen. Obviously, block your ears, find some nice fluffy earmuffs, change the channel, listen to Teletubbies, I don't know. It's not up to me to parent you. I can provide advice or guidance, insight into shit that's already happened. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I probably will, but I won't tell you what to do. And I can't make you do anything, so, do your thing. The topic for today is attention seeking, funny enough. Rather hypocritically, considering I'm venting on YouTube. Yeah, I picked up on it first. I'm going, this is going to be bullshit. So, attention seeking. I'm a teacher, obviously. I'm used to kids being attention seekers on a daily basis. I've got 30 to 35 kids in a class, all needing my attention, all needing my care, all needing, my injection of education into their brains at any point. It's not only that, it's also dealing with their socio-emotional needs. We're surrogate parents, so we have to consider where they're operating at as children, regardless of whether we think the content should be jammed in their heads. It's not just a case of filling a jug. You've got to mediate the experience around them to make the environment hospitable for learning. So you've got to create nurturing environments and stuff like that. So we've got an absolute mix of whether we've got introverts or extroverts or attention seekers or work avoidance. And it's a game of trying to get everyone working cohesively together to try and get this shit done. It's very interesting. It's like negotiating NATO. But with kids who, can shit their pants on command. So I'm impressed by how we do it every day. And teachers who have got harder classrooms, I'm going, I don't know how you fuckers do it every day. And then you go home to your own kids. So, well done, guys. It's like, I don't have kids. I know what the deal is with kids. I think, honestly, people should be forced to teach for at least 2 years in various year levels before they agree to breeding. That's just... I'm sitting there going, you guys have no fucking idea what you're getting into, realistically. I'm going to do a podcast on kids in the future, but at the same time, it's like people go, oh, a baby, that's cute. I'll have one of them. And they don't actually fucking realize what kids actually are and what it encompasses and what it involves. And then they get, buyer's remorse 5 years in. It's like, it's not cute anymore and it won't shut up. And it's hyperactive and it's breaking all my shit and taking my food. I don't like this. So I am well aware what kids are. Hence the reason I dodged that bullet. I get paid to hang around kids. It's a nice offset, but at the same time I do still care about kids. So that's why I went into education rather than, being a doctor or nursing or something like that. Anyway, so the theme is attention seeking. Kids are the biggest attention seekers, and that's just because they're kids, man. They need the care, they need the one-on-one contact, they need attention so they can grow and make sure they've got things right. And they're not, fucking up before they begin. And a lot of an adult influence will be taken out on the kids. So we're hoping that we provide some kind of positive experience for these kids to grow up, to mature, to be able to, involve themselves in the community around them. It's only when parents start, influencing them basically with shit that the problems arise, where they start saying things like, or demonstrating that violence in the family is okay, or drug abuse is okay, or is normalized, and things like that. The kids start really getting fucked up. So we're hoping that our influence has some kind of positive effect on the future of the kid, obviously. We don't want to lead them down the path of some horrible destructive spiral where everything fucks up and they just spread that in a viral load of crap, it's like to everyone they come into contact with. We're hoping we don't do that. We would like to see them grow nicely, right? Develop resilience even when the adversity comes to them. They can, we're hoping as surrogate parents to other people's kids. No one goes into teaching thinking, how can I fuck kids up? how can I really fuck this up? I hate this shit. That comes, at least 40 years into the game. But I'm joking. Although I have met some teachers who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Just because it's just, I don't know why some people enter teaching, but, obviously the majority are in it to help. We're helpers, we're fixers, we want to get the job done, promote growth. It's sort of like a Hippocratic oath. Doctors have their own Hippocratic oath, we have ours. If someone needs help, we help. If someone needs teaching or learning or information, we help. We get in there, we get involved. So we got a bunch of kids, and if I could snapshot one classroom, if I've got 30 kids, I've got 5 kids who are behavior/attention seekers, at least 5 more that are introverted, don't want to know. I've got 5 who just avoid the task altogether, and the rest of them are sort of, that's about half the class, right? 5, who are just sort of mid-length, mid-level ability, who are just chugging along. These, unfortunately, the ones tend to get ignored, which is horrible for them. But they're capable, and I know they're resilient and they can pull through, and we do try to give them as much attention as we can, but it's always, firstly, the loudest ones who are the most, problematic, because if you let those fuckers go, they will drag down the rest of the class. They lead them. Amazing leadership skills, but drags the rest of the class down educationally. So we gotta get those fuckers and nip them in the bud. The next ones comes the attention seekers that are ego-based, not just behaviorally problematic, but just I'm the life of the party, I have to be center of the universe, I have to have people look at me, and that's just generally a sign of immaturity. Their kids, their parents might have told them that they're fucking fabulous for entire life, so they assume everybody has to agree with their parents and and pay homage. There's always those. They don't age well, I'm going to say that much. If you've listened to, I can't remember which podcast I did, but basically there's an ego stroke in one I did where they don't age well. They peak in high school and then fuck up the rest of their life usually. It's not great for them. But we still have to, be inclusive and say, okay, you are this way. Let's see if we can use it to your advantage. Ooh, look, a Triumph. It's nice. Sorry, motorbikes. It was a vintage. Ooh, fancy. But we want to prop them up towards the right direction with that. If they've got leadership skills and they're showing the start of leadership skills, they're good at networking, things like that, maybe we'll try and push them towards some kind of, group leadership, kind of that new sort of thing like that. If they're doing it just to stroke their ego, we will try and humble them. Not in a horrible way. Just kind of, negotiate why they shouldn't be seeking everyone's attention to the extent where they're dragging the others down. I've got quite a few at the moment in my tech classes because I'm doing Digitech, where they will just waste time constantly announcing everything that they're doing. I'm doing this. Everyone needs to listen to what I'm doing. It's like no one fucking cares. Everybody just wants to get to the iPads, dude. Shut up. And they're 8. So, someone has told these kids that they're the center of the universe. And they feel compelled to make everyone else believe it as well. So that's pure ego stroking. It's immaturity. But it's age-acceptable immaturity because they just don't know any better. When that gets to, later years, past 20, I'd say, it's really unacceptable because they've got no humility whatsoever. And that leads on to, they've been pumped up their entire life into their 20s, mid-20s, 30s. If they're still an arrogant shit by the time they get to 40, then that's your peak, that's your downfall. You're going down from there. No one's going to sit there and prop you up, particularly at like 40, and say, no, you're absolutely fantastic. You'll know as soon as you get out of high school that the praise stops. The praise stops. You've got to self-motivate from high school onwards, and that includes even if you go into higher learning like uni. No one's going to sit there and say, aren't you fucking fantastic for turning up to work today? Here's a cookie. Maybe on Are You OK Day, we've got that in Australia. This year I got some kids' novelty erasers, a magnet, and I think a wristband in a Hessian little organza bag. I'm going, fucking fantastic. Am I okay? No. But I've got a fridge magnet and some kids' erasers. Woohoo! You know, it's bullshit. But, you know, you got to self-motivate. You got to think about what my goals are. Am I doing something that's in line with what I want to achieve? I mean, fuck the fucking magnet and shit. It's all tokenism anyway. It doesn't actually amount to anything. You really understood your workers. You'd understand the workload that they're going through, the stress. It's tokenism. People just want to look good while they're doing it. We're not going to lessen the load at all, but, you know, Band-Aid solution. Feel better about yourself. Here's a magnet. Get fucked. Pay me more. Lessen my hours. Stop putting 35 kids in my class, you bastards. Give us resources that work so I don't have to hunt down shit. I mean, I've got year 4 tech classes. They're meant to be learning about using programs like Word and Publisher and stuff like that. I'm using laptops which don't load. The internet doesn't work on them. And half the keys and shit on the keyboards are missing. So it's like, we don't even know what the fuck we're typing. So it's like, what the fuck? How old are these laptops? You'd spend, you know, half an hour in a 40-minute, 50-minute lesson just trying to get the fucker to turn on. It's ridiculous. It's like, how am I supposed to teach Word documents? They can't even type. They can't even get the computer on. So that's my challenge right now. I've got to work a way around that. It's ridiculous. Stop giving us fucking magnets and wristbands. We don't want them. Give us equipment that works so we can do our fucking job. But that's that particular school I'm working at. I've seen other schools that operate better. That's just them. But the attention seekers in the classroom. So the other things, like I'm softer on the educational needs kids. You got the ESL kid. ESL? English? ESL is English as a second language. ESU, its support unit. Is the ones that are like dyslexic and autistic and things like that. I'm a lot softer with them because I understand they've got the extra shit to go through. Kids that will stand up at the front of the class, distract the class for 10 minutes just because they need the attention like a fucking sponge, they get up my ass. Because I'm like, you need to learn some healability. You can't keep doing this. That's just me on the job. So we've got to negotiate that every day. But again, that comes with kids. That's just maturity level. Once you get into your 20s, you should be able to override that, self-regulate, and realize there are other people in the world except you. Relatively, I don't even think it's a new thing, because you've still got those egomaniacs that run around 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago who are still looking for attention. I mean, look at Hitler. I don't think, honestly, he was on any kind of noble quest to create a new regime. I think he was just generally stroking his ego, and someone said, hey, fuck it, go with it. I don't support him in any fucking way. He's just a fascist dictator, that's what they all do. But we look at these people and we say, that's the wrong kind of attention seeking, right? Obviously. But there's other forms of wrong kinds of attention seeking as well. Obviously, they're based on the social context and values in which the people find themselves in. No one likes a hoe at this point, because in the westernized culture, hoes are bad. Even though that women are highly sexualized in the media, which I don't agree with, because that just reduces us to our body parts, essentially. There's so much more to a female, a woman. And by woman, I mean not gender, I mean fucking chromosomes. Dude, take it down to base level, because everybody's fucking everything up with that. People who are born with the particular chromosomes which dictate a mature age woman. Anyway, yeah, I'm not even going into that conversation, it's giving me the shits. It's so giving me the shits. As someone who has a uterus and goes through all the fun of bleeding and shit like that, and potential risks of childbirth, death, and things like that, fuck you. Don't even get me started on that. I just want to dress up as a girl. It's like, we all want to dress up as a girl. Unfortunately, we got the other shit that goes with it. Yeah, anyway, I'm not going into that one. But, you know, it's attention seeking. Women have been highly sexualized, so we are conditioned, or at least it is assumed we are conditioned. A lot of us are fighting back, because we're not like that, dude. Come on, you gotta be pretty fucking thick before you see as a pair of tits and a uterus. we're conditioned by the media to assume that our value is based on whether we can get our ass crack out in public. You know, you've got whole songs like WAP, which is, I'm hoping it's some kind of celebration of femininity, but the way she's, the way she's presenting vaginas, I'm sitting there going, you ever had a vagina? It's never that great, you know? I mean, any woman who's actually, gone through the cycles and things like that, and all the later on in life shit that goes on with, cervixes and things like that, it's not something that we feel we need to celebrate every fucking day in a very sexy song about, it's not the same. I don't know if guys do the same with their dick. I don't know. I doubt it. It just seems odd. Why are women pushed so much to be these hypersexualized things? I've got 20-year-old girls in the last social group whose value is deemed on how attracted they are to men. It's like, I understand that you've hit puberty maybe 5 years ago and you're still discovering that you've got tits. I'm like 40 now. I know I've got tits. I know what they do. I have no interest in them. Past child rearing age as far as I'm concerned, because that's pretty much in your mid-20s to 30s. I'm fast approaching 40 and I just don't fucking care anymore. So they're all excited. They got their new bits and pieces. Like when you got a new game, it's like, I want to use it. I want to play with it. And then you realize there are other people that want to play with it and use it, but they're going to break that shit. So you probably shouldn't base your worth on your physical body parts. And, people will look down on you for it because you're not using any other part of your brain or body or, like conscience or soul or cognitive ability to make anything of yourself. They're just not using any part of it. Everything is, I've got big tits and I'm willing to, put them on camera. That's why I don't like OnlyFans. I'm sitting going, in a way, if you wanted to make vast amounts of money, flashing your tits on camera is the way to do it. So in some ways it's smart, but at the same time, it's essentially prostitution. It is. It is prostitution. You might not be fucking them, but you're definitely giving them something, right? And they're paying for it. So it's, it's prostitution. Maybe softcore porn. I don't know. Or actually, I haven't even looked at OnlyFans, so it's probably something more than that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I just don't want to know, man. But, it's like you can't be reduced to that. You've got a mind, you've got a soul, you've got a conscience, you've got all these things that you are so much more valuable than just flashing your tits and singing about your WAP. I mean, it's why are we being reduced to this? Guys don't get reduced to this. The worst thing guys get, besides being perceived as a rape threat, the worst thing guys get is, men's hottest 100 or whatever it is, the hottest guy in the world. It's like, and that's just a picture of their face and maybe their midriff up. Women perpetually are told that you need to be scantily clad, you need to be looking like a skimpy to be perceived as valuable. And then they wonder why they get sexually assaulted and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm condoning guys that are willing to sexually assault women or anything like that because, they're asking for it. But in a sense, there's always one fuck-up guy, if not several, that will jump on that and say they knew what they were getting into. It's like, no, they don't fucking know what they're getting into. They've been told that they should look like this in order to be deemed valuable. And then you get fuckers like that prey on that. But it's ridiculous. It's like, haven't you got the common sense as women to want to protect yourself? It's a survivalist instinct not to allow someone to put you in a position where you can be exploited that way. It's survival. It's like, this is something ingrained. This is word of mouth passed down intergenerationally that there is a potential risk that we might get raped, so maybe we shouldn't. Guys go out, maybe someone will pick a fight. Maybe I shouldn't just be an aggressor. Maybe I'll lose that fight, although I don't know how many guys are quite stupid where they actively go out and pick fights. That's quite dumb. You don't have that survival instinct, because you might be thinking you're good with your fists, but at the same time they might have a knife or a gun, and you're sitting there thinking, I could win a fist fight. Yeah, but he's got actual weaponry, and you're quite dumb. So I don't know. It's like, there are some sort of wired to think that way. Maybe they're just existing in the wrong era. Some people I know would be very good on the battlefield, as berserkers maybe, or, cannon fodder. It's like, doesn't mean that we actively, situations like, you know, suburbia and stuff like that, or the workplace, or places where you're supposed to cohesively get along with each other. You don't go out and pick a fucking fight. It's non-conducive to any kind of growth. You just come across as a fucking nutter, and usually you get arrested, or something really, really goes bad, you know, we end up getting arrested anyway. It's ridiculous. I don't think guys these days are being pushed so much to be these aggressive berserkers as they once were when we were back in, you know, like war times. I think people have recognized that guys don't need to be that aggressive. You do get individuals who will stand up and say, men aren't men anymore. It's like, no, men aren't psychotic men anymore. Let's go with that. Psychotic men that actively go out looking for fights. I don't agree with those assholes. I'm willing to admit that guys are biologically stronger than us, bigger than us, obviously because they've got the testosterone. There is a level of aggression there because of testosterone, but it's never to the extent where it should be overriding their conscious thought. Relying solely on hormones, should we say, because that's the shit they give us. It's like, oh, women are so hormonal. You fuckers go out looking for fights. Are you sure we're the hormonal ones? Because when we get hormonal, we cry. That's it. We might scream a bit, but we cry, and that's about it. Guys go out and start knifing people. It's like, why are we the hormonal unstable ones? It just doesn't make sense. And then, of course, like, it's all our periods, and then a week later, we're fine. Guys, you see why we have a problem with the double standards. It's ridiculous. But attention seeking, women are promoted as objects. We're objectified. If a guy's objectified, it's because it meets him with some kind of toxic masculinity where it's okay because you're just sowing your wild oats. It's like, don't sow your wild oats. That's just man-hoeing. Women don't like that. You're perceived to be a threat at that point. First of all, you're a threat as a sexual threat because now we're thinking, is he going to try and coercively rape me or just sexually assault me or something like that? We don't like that. And then secondly, guys they're disposable, so there's no point investing any kind of emotion in them because they're just going to fuck you and leave. So it's like, if you are wired to want to sleep around as a woman, we're going to see you as an option. Some women have taken on that trait, that toxic masculinity trait. Not that it's part of a normal masculine's trait to sleep around, because humans are primarily monogamous. It's the anomaly, a cultural anomaly where they're not. As far as I can see, I've seen so many cultures and comparisons where polygamy is pretty actually rare in a culture. It's usually something that's, you know, religiously influenced. But anyway, women will see you as disposable. They see you as nothing worth investing in because I'm not going to breed with a guy who's sitting there fucking around because God knows how many girls he's got on the side chicks. God knows how he's going to treat me as a human being if I'm just an option, just a convenient hole to plug in when he feels like it and then fuck off again. And the guys they're lesser in value. They're lesser because there's no point. Why would I bother hitting it and quitting it or investing in when they're just going to fuck off? It's like, there's no point. There's no point starting. As far as I'm concerned, I don't even bother. If I see guys acting like they could be potentially a risk, I just go, oh, fuck it, I'm not even going to bother. It's like, and that's partly trauma because I've already had 2 guys that were not monogamous. I'm like, I don't need this shit in my life. And second, because women, as we age, we start using our brain and less of our emotions. We start thinking, what have I got to lose where I don't want to get trapped in with another asshole whose ass I'm wiping whilst he fucks around behind my back. You know, it's now we're looking less at the romantic side of relationships and more at the logic. What do I have to lose, and what is this going to do to me? Which is why guys have trouble with older women, because we expect respect. We expect to be treated nicely. We've got stuff to lose. We've had experience. We know how to do amazing things in the bedroom that a 20-year-old isn't going to be able to do, and we're worth more, to be honest, because we've got experience. It's like anyone who works at a job. They're going to look at you with more experience. You know, it's like, you've got that higher wage, you've got more experience, you know what you're doing. It's like, you look at a 20-year-old, it's like, it's new, it's fresh, and it's naive, and they'll probably believe you bullshit, but at the same time, they're not going to be good at it. You know, that's a weird metaphor. But at the same time, it's like, you got to pick and choose your people. I wouldn't pick an attention seeker because I know that they will go out of their way to try and get more attention. And that means, you know, it could mean fucking around. It could mean putting me in a situation where I'm in danger, just for the sake of updates. You know, I wouldn't risk it. Plus, I'm a natural introvert, so I keep my shit to myself. I don't want extroverts. They just embarrass me. I don't like it. The noisy ones are usually the dumbest ones, and the fact that they're announcing that shit is just horrible. I'm sitting there going, I don't want to be sitting with a dumb one. Loudly telling everyone how dumb he is, or showing. It's like in Australia, we've got a bogan culture where they're loud, obnoxious, mulleted, beer guzzling, you know, Ugg boot wearing morons who love AFL. And you sit there and think, it's football hooligans if you're in England. But it's not an attractive trait. There are girls who like it because, oh, they're fun and they're interesting, they're attention seeking, and you sit there and think, yeah, but they're fucking idiots when they're doing it, and I don't want that. I would rather be, you know, quiet and observing than, you know, center stage and part of something where you could potentially get dragged down. You know, I don't want to know. I don't find it attractive. So when, like, my ex-boyfriend was a talker at this point. I'm not a talker. I'm happy to sit in the background behind someone who's willing to be the social person in the relationship. I'm happy as long as they don't just leave me alone with their friends and fuck off. It's like, please don't do that. I hate that. Please don't leave me with people I don't know. I hate this a lot. But at the same time, someone who is obviously stupid while they're, you know, what they call verbal diarrhea. You're dribbling shit, mate. And it's becoming very apparent that we are a mismatch. And, you know, you're making me look bad because you won't stop dribbling shit. That's something I'm avoiding at this point. At the start of that relationship, I'm like, oh, he's got social skills, he can talk, he's good at it, I can just relax and sit in the background and just watch. But after a while, you're sitting there going, oh my God, he's doing it again. Oh, he won't shut up. Oh my God, please stop talking about Bitcoin. Fuck. And, you know, some people say, oh, isn't it charming? And you're sitting there and think, no, after a while it's just fucking annoying because they don't shut up. You know? Some people are into that. I love the way they talk about everything. I was thinking, okay, would you just shut up? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to go home to bed. Shut up. Why did I even leave the house? It's past 8. I hate this. You know? I am not a pub club person. I'm a stay-at-home person. I will admit that. I don't mind that. But the things we do at home are fun. Yeah, it's very fun. But, you know, I don't do the attention-seeking thing. I don't like it. Could come from trauma. I mean, if you're drawing attention to yourself, you're also asking people to start some shit. A lot of people want to be center of attention. Like a lot of celebrities and stuff like that. They want to be on a stage. They want people praising them for what they do. And I think it's got to be some kind of internal disconnection. What you're aiming for is some kind of neutrality on the inside, where you're praised for the meritorious things you've done, but you also have an element of humility about you. You don't want to be the asshole of the bunch that's self-promoting all the fucking time, because as soon as you start getting past a certain threshold, people are just looking at you like you're an arrogant asshole. It's like no one will actually believe anything that you've achieved, because they'll just say, oh, it's just ego pumping again. It's always off again. You know, he's talking about how fucking amazing he is again. Bearing in mind, like, my parents didn't actually my parents didn't actually praise my achievements. They just said, this is what we do, so do it, you know, sort of thing. There was no kind of big party for when I graduated. There was no kind of sweet 16th bullshit, you know. You reached a milestone. Here's a party. Here's a car. Here's, you know, all this shit. So anything that I achieve, I sort of underplay anyway, because it's just like, oh, it's just something you do, isn't it? You're supposed to do that. But you've got some people who absolutely celebrate mediocrity. Like when we have all these kids fucking sports day races now, everybody gets a sash. Everyone gets a pin or a sticker or something just for participating. I'm going, I don't agree with that. There's no achievement in that. That is bare minimum to me. I mean, you don't want to hurt their self-esteem, but at the same time, the whole reason we have these sports events is so you are challenged to try harder. I mean, traditionally you train beforehand, you practice your sprints or whatever, you obstacle course or some shit like that. I mean, the kids, we're not expecting them to be fucking athletes, pro athletes. It's and some people are saying, oh, it's too much pressure. It's not too much pressure. If this was the wild, we go back to way back when, fucking lions eating everyone. If you lost a race between you and a lion, you died. You don't get a sticker for participating. It doesn't make sense. It's like, did you feel bad that you died? It's like, here's a sticker. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. At this point, we're afraid of even challenging kids because they don't want to be seen as losing. They're so fragile with their, self-esteem and ego, because we pumped them up too much, and then when we face the reality of adulting, or even just being a 10-year-old kid, they fucking lose their mind because they didn't win, or they didn't get what they wanted, or, we're looking for the soft parenting approach, which has its benefits for some kids who come from rough backgrounds. You can soften the edges a bit more. But at the same time, kids who are already coming from soft backgrounds have no fucking resilience at all. So when they don't get what they want, like what replicates in the real world, they lose their fucking mind. They go off the rails in their 20s. It's like, I didn't get into the uni I wanted to do, so now I'm going to do drugs and shit like that. I'm sitting there going, that doesn't fix anything. Have you tried, doing a bridging course or trying a bit harder at something else, reapplying, stuff like this? No, I didn't get what I wanted. So, they have a quarter-life crisis. They've got no resilience. It's like, what are we supposed to do with that? It's okay, I gave them a sticker for participating. Fuck off. Here's your Are You Okay wristband and magnet. It's like, does it make any effect? No. My job still is painful. And then the people start saying, like, we got to break down schools and things like that because they're just too much for kids. I'm sitting there going, the real world reflects what we are teaching in the classroom, whether you like it or not, whether it's dry as fuck and boring as shit or not, whether you think it helps kids or not. The workforce we have created does reflect the schools we are creating, we use. They don't want to do anything that's not entertaining, and then they'll whinge to their parents. It's not fun. It's like, no, it's school. You're supposed to learn. You learn, so when you get to the workforce, it's not as hard as you think it is, or you can get a job, or you can get better life chances, things like that. It's meant to be a transformative thing. It's not a case of this is entertaining, so I don't want to participate. There's this constant hedonist craving. It's like, I only want to do things that are fun. It's like, no, that's not life. These are the same assholes that put their kids in front of iPads instead of actually fucking parenting them. I'm going, this is why they're assholes. You know this, right? And it's like, it's not fun. I don't want to do it. I remember when we were kids and we got a chance to color something in, we'd lose our fucking mind. Not only did we get to color something in, we got to get our textures out. I mean, I know I'm not retarded that much that I don't recognize the value of that, because everything else was like hardcore dry shit. And then suddenly, Christmas comes around and you got a work package where you get to do puzzles and Christmas shit and coloring in and all kinds of awesome stuff like that. And I'd lose my mind. We're like, I'm getting my fucking textures out, man. Anyone's got glitter pens, we lose our mind. It's like, oh my God, you got glitter pens. Now it's a fucking, quarter life crisis to get the kids to fucking color anything in. No, I don't want to. I don't feel like it. Shut up and do it. What the fuck? No one's asking you. I'm telling you. I feel like I'm talking to my parents, I'm channeling my parents here. I'm not asking you. I'm saying do it. But it's like they just don't want to do anything anymore. It's not entertaining. It doesn't beep. It's not digital, I asked, about the size of a postage stamp. Most of my pictures are in my worksheets. I get to the very end of the lesson. If they've got 20 minutes time, I say, go and colour in the picture, because, otherwise it's reading book, doing free drawing. And then they have like a fucking meltdown because they've had to colour this in. And stupid stuff like putting your name on your sheet, and they have a fucking crisis over that too. And you sit there thinking, you're not going to survive the real world at all, are you? Can you imagine you fuck up at work, your boss tells you to go back and do it again, you have a fucking meltdown. It's like, no, you don't get away with that shit. It's mental. It's like just no resilience. We're making allowances for it as well. It's like, well, they didn't feel like colouring in the fucking picture, so I'm just going to allow it. It's like, no, go back and do it. It's not the act of colouring a fucking postage-sized picture. It's the compliance that you need the self-regulation that is being conditioned now to be, reenacted later when you know you need to get yourself self-motivated to perform on the job. It's people complain about, why didn't we get taught taxes in school? Why didn't we get taught, what else? What are some other stupid things? I'm sitting there going, well, we were trying to lay the foundations for teaching you taxes, but you fuckers didn't want to do maths, so what the fuck are we supposed to do? It's like, maths is boring. Get to like 30, 40. Why can't I do my own taxes? Because you can barely read? You don't know how to do maths? Because you thought it was boring at the time. It's like everything feeds onto each other. And then they complain that the school let them down. I'm sitting there going, you fuckers, you let yourself down, man. Stop this shit. It's like, you thought it was boring. You wanted to fuck around with your friends. You complained to your parents that it's boring. They complained to us because they're helicopter parents. You're not doing enough for my kid, and we're doing fucking everything for your kid, and your kid's just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to color in the postage stamp picture. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's ridiculous. But at the same time, you walk out. There are days when I just walk out of the classroom and I sit there and think, I don't know what that kid's going to be doing in the next 20 years, but they're on their own. We're going to have to. Because at some point we get too invested in what they're doing and trying to cater for their needs that we start sacrificing ourselves as teachers, as adults, as human beings, because the kid doesn't want to be there. There's only so much you can do for the kid to facilitate learning before everything just piles up on you and you're sitting there and think, fuck it, man. I ain't got time for this. You're choosing to do this right now. That's up to you. This is the grade you get for this amount of effort. Fuck off. I don't have time for this. That's mainly the behavioral side of things as well. The attention-seeking ones that stand up and want to distract every other fucker in the room, whereas they actually want to do the work and are willing to do it. They're going to do the same things. Like, they're also the ones that think it's a fucking chore just to colour in a small picture, and you sit there and think, I don't know what you're going to do with your life, but it ain't going to be as amazing as you think it is. Chances are it would be a fluke. I mean, think about how many of these kids at the moment want to be TikTok stars and shit like that. It's like, I'm going to tell you now, you're probably going to be an OnlyFans, and that's about it, darling. And even then, it's going to be dirty old men looking at your snatch. So I wouldn't get excited about where you're going with stardom. Okay? The practicality of the situation is they pump themselves up because their parents told them they're amazing. The reality is, you didn't put the effort in. You didn't prep. You're not going to get where you want to get. You're going to get a shittier version of it, maybe. I mean, it used to be like porn stars fell into porn starisms or stardom. It was an accident because they started off as strippers or something, and this was the next step or something like that because they didn't bother paying attention in school. Now it's been glorified. It's like, I'm a porn star. I make this much money in a year. And it's like, bitch, maybe I want to be a porn star at this point. You're making more than I am. It's completely gone topsy-turvy with the worst things about humanity being glorified and paid for. Vices are being promoted, things that were indecent are getting pushed forward to being, the best thing you can do with your life. It used to be, go to school, get an education, get a really good job, build yourself up. That's a meritocracy. You work with what you've got your natural gifts, but you also work on it. You're still challenging yourself and developing yourself. To not do that would be a cop-out. You used to be seen as like a bum if you didn't do that kind of thing. You used to like drop out of school. It used to be a bad thing. Now people drop out of school and create an OnlyFans and they're selling pictures of their fucking feet. And what is this? It's like, why does this exist? Besides the fact that it's prostitution, obviously, as I've discussed before. But it doesn't make sense. So there is a negative side to attention seeking. I'm going to have to wrap it up though because, and I could waffle on for ages because they give me the shits. I haven't even got started on celebrities in depth. Don't even get me started, the fucking knobs. But at the same time, I'm going to wrap it up there and I'm going to say, look, if you're going to be attention seeking, don't make it about you. Make it about a cause, which is a sustainable cause, not just a momentary cause. I remember when a couple of years ago there was someone who did that Coney cause. Was it Coney? It was trying to depose some kind of fascist dictator in Africa or some shit like that. I think it was. It was a while back. I keep updating weird shit in my head. I'm like a fucking sponge at this point. But the guy who was running the movement to get rid of this fucking African dictator, Eventually he lost his fucking mind and he was running down the street naked or some shit like that, and he was caught on camera, and it's like, this is the man that represents this cause. Do you really want to go for this? It's just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I agreed with the shit at the start of it because I'm not into like fascist dictators like Mugabe and shit like that. But if this is the person who's representing it and he's gone a bit crazy with attention, you know, it's probably not a good thing. It's not a good look for the cause. So I'm probably just going to shy away from this now because batshit crazy, dude. You're batshit crazy. Maybe it was the pressure, maybe it was drugs. He always denied it was drugs. I'm sitting there going, I don't know, man. You've got a lot of people following you. You got a lot of access to money at this point because they all funded your cause. I have a feeling it was drugs. It's like you can afford good drugs, or maybe in this case really bad drugs, and I think you lost your fucking mind. So I think you went crazy with power. So that's one of the dangers of power. So I'm going to write that down. That's a podcast in itself. But you know, you got to be careful what you're doing with the attention. Don't make it about you. Make it about, you know, a worthy cause, not just one that's going to flitter out because, you know, shit changes. Oh, but then again, you could have a cause that promotes change. So like Martin Luther King and that. So like his cause promoted change, and eventually you did get some sort of semblance of change. Not maybe the change they wanted as an absolute, but, you know, it worked on the theme of equality. It's not gone away because you've got like derivatives for like BLM. Derivatives. People think that's a bad thing. It's like, no, you can see where it branched off. It branched off of his movement, or he branched off of someone else's movement. You can see where it's just looking at the, you know, the tree root, trying to find the source. So don't think of the word derivative as a bad thing. We just want to see where the origin point is. But it was a sustainable cause because it's still an ongoing issue. He didn't make it about him. He made it about the movement. You know, but you got some people who just lose their fucking mind, attention seeking, and you can tell they're only doing it to create a bandwagon so people will follow them. And it's like, are they doing it because they believe in the cause or because they want the attention? Is it an ego-based thing? I mean, I know I keep going back to Hitler. I mean, that was the main thing we had a discussion in uni when we were doing Europe under the dictators. We were talking about Hitler. Was it intentionalist or structuralist? So was it intentionalist in that he wanted, as an individual, to eradicate, you know, all the Jewish people, or, you know, anyone who wasn't Aryan? Or was it structuralist in that he started the ball rolling and then the people around him bolstered him into it, where it became, you know, like, we've got all these people, what can we do with them? I know, we'll set up death camps. I mean, it's a bit extreme, just a bit extreme. So, like, if you were... Oh, Christ, please don't start that shit again. I've had enough with anti-Semitism. I really have. Don't even. But at the same time, looking at that particular example, was it a case of his ego with a cause, or was it a case of the structure around him promoting the cause? And so he had no real effect. He was just a figurehead on it. You could liken it as well to, like, the royal family. It's like, is it a king ruling? I mean, at this point, they keep calling Charles the king. I'm going, you didn't even act like a prince, dude. I don't know how the fuck you got promoted to king. I don't know. Divine right of kings. You were not a king. You didn't act like a prince. The morality there is fucking questionable, even with regards to, like, the Magna Carta. So don't even get me started on that with his fucking spider letters. I'm going, the hypocrisy. You could liken it to, though. Is it a case of he is ruling? Or is he a figurehead because the structure around him is ruling, the men in grey suits? Is it intentionalist? Is his causes, like all these charities that he picks up and things like that, is it because he has an actual interest in it? Or is it because it bolsters his business as the firm? You know, is it the men in grey suits saying this is good PR, you should do this? And it's like, how much of this is real and how much of this is just a PR stunt? So you got to ask yourself. And proof will be in the pudding in the end, because you'll see whether it survives or falls. It is such a strong structure, but at the same time, it's not impenetrable. Obviously, we've seen monarchies rise and fall all over the fucking world, over history. I mean, you have the French Revolution, the fucking Russian Revolution. There's all kinds of things that could happen that sort of get involved and fuck the whole situation up. So he's relying heavily on PR at this point. I wouldn't. But again, it's the PR that they're feeding the people. Is it behind the curtain him actually manipulating the government and things like that to make it seem like, yeah. So is he actually a figurehead, or is he getting involved? Not that he fucking should because of the Magna Carta. You know, it's that. So if you're going to pick a cause, make sure it's a good one. Make sure it's a high moral one. Don't do it for yourself. Do it because it's the right thing to do. I mean, I promote that so much. It's like people who, you know, will do podcasts and take pictures of themselves feeding homeless people. It's like, you don't actually believe in helping homeless people. You believe in getting the updates from the pictures. That's what pisses me off. It's like, you're not doing it because it's the right thing to do. You're doing it because, you know, it makes you look good. That's why it gives me the shits. It's like, would you still be doing this if you didn't have people paying you to do it on AdSense? You know, it's fucked up. That's what gives me the shits. Oh, it's one of my girls. Oh, she got a little sister. Oh, I love my kids. Anyway, I just saw one of my little girls, Bailey, going across on a bike. Anyway, I've got to go into work. Okay, sorry. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. Try and find a noble way to promote whatever cause you're doing. Don't just do it for your ego. Attention seeking shouldn't be self-based. It should be cause-based, obviously. But make sure it's a sustainable cause that doesn't impinge or harm other people, obviously. You want that peaceable approach. That's the most sustainable. You know, any kind of violence or aggression usually ends in insurgency. People aren't going to follow you if you're an asshole, essentially. I mean, look at Jesus compared to fucking Putin. It's like, you see where I'm getting at. People are like, Jesus is a nice guy. He never hurt anyone and he fed everyone. That's like the best way forward, right? Putin's like, I'm going to march on fucking Ukraine and then I'm going to start on Poland eventually. Because I want to be Hitler incarnate, right? You know, it's... People aren't going to support that. Even these oligarchs or whatever they are starting to go, this is a bit fucking shady, dude. Belarus is already in the pay. Belarus is like, we're just chicken shits. And they're paying us to be chicken shits, so we're going to enable it. Who really loses? So, I don't know. But you want to find a good cause to follow. Don't make it about you. Make it about the social good. Because it should be promoting human survival. As a basic human instinct, it's survival of the species, right? But you need to also question what kind of quality of species we're trying to promote. So that's the problem. That's how we ended up with like social eugenics. Because people are like, well, this part of culture isn't fucking working. Let's tweak this a bit. And it's like, well, you can't just wipe out a whole section of culture. I say culture, they were aiming mainly at ethnicities. I'm going, well, that's just not fucking good either, is it? You can't just wipe out a bunch of people under generalizations. It's like, no. So, well, they kind of looked at... No, you can't. You can't generalize. Everybody's different. It was a weird thing to study. Oh, fuck me. There's my... Oh. I've got a helper who's a grandma who's a bitch and shouldn't be in the classroom, but she keeps coming in. And I'm sitting there going, please don't put me in that room today. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but she's staring right at me. I'm like, fuck you, bitch. It's like, you shouldn't be around kids. She's about 80. And she thinks I'm her buddy. And I really am not, because she's nasty. But I got that professional niceness, you know? It's like you have to be nice, although realistically you're like, can you send her home? But she's a helper and she wants to be here. I don't want her to be here and I'm the qualified person. Can you send her home? It's like she's not helping anything and she's being nasty to the kids. Anyway, I gotta go. All right, so keep it nice. Sorry about that, I'm just bitching. I shouldn't bitch. I should bitch. Anyway, no. Keep it nice. Be nice to each other. Hope you have a fantastic Thursday. I'm going to try and do another podcast on the way back. And hopefully it's going to be something maybe more interesting. I don't know. Less bullshitty. All right.